Alright, so I realized I never did the post-game review for Notre Dame. A recap. Of course I didn't, because I'm having a great week already. But, anyways, Notre Dame did what they should have done and just walked all over South Florida, or USF. They actually ended up pulling in the backups at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they did. South Florida went with a double passing attack, passing and running of McLeod and Johnson at quarterback, and then ended up bringing Marsh. Well, they had Marsh throw a couple times. Total of 12 for 29, 125 yards. None of their quarterbacks really did great, compared to Notre Dame had Bookin, 12 for 19, and Drew Pine came in for 2 attempts and completed one of them. Book had 144. Drew Pine had 5 for 149 yards. Book had a better QBR than McLeod, Johnson and Marsh put together, and then Pine had a 2.6. Running was fairly balanced among the top 3 backs that got carries in Sebo, Chris, Tyree, and Williams. All 3 had 8. Well, Sebo had 13, Tyree had 8, Williams had 10 for 127, 65, and 62 yards. And Flemingster and Kyrie had 2 of the touchdowns. Both had a long of 31, and Williams had a long of 15. This trio of backs was doing great for the most part during that game, and they could not be stopped. And then Book went 4 carries for 9 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jafar Armstrong had 7 rushes for 7 yards and a touchdown. Tommy Tremble had 1 for 4, Drew Pine had 1 for 4, and Lindsey had 1 for 3. South Florida, really, they had only 3 people over 5 carries. 6 people over 3 carries, and only 3 of them had over 10 yards. Ford with 70, McLeod with 21, and Johnson with 12. 2 of those are quarterbacks. So Notre Dame, for a combined 45 carries, had 281 yards and 6 touchdowns, compared to South Florida's 33 attempts and 106. So Notre Dame, in both the passing and rushing attack, edged out South Florida to really just drive them into the ground. From here on out, I'm really going to only be focusing on Notre Dame. Tommy Tremble, Braden Lindsey, both had 3 receptions. Tremble had 61 and Lindsey had 34 in terms of yards. And then Williams had 2 receptions for 10 yards, and then Jafar Armstrong had 1 for 18. Sebo had 1 for 9, McKinley had 1 for 7, and then Mini Gronk, or Mayer, and Bauman both had 1 for 5, to equal for 13 receptions and 149. On the defense, Jack Kaiser had a field day. 8 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and 1 quarterback hurry. He looked great out there. Now, I don't exactly remember who was absent this game, but I do know Kyle Hamilton was absent, which I think did hurt this defense a little bit. Griffith and Lewis both had 5 total tackles, all solos. Both had 1 tackle for a loss and 0 QB hurries. Drew White, 4 total, 3 solo, half a tackle for a loss, and 1 quarterback hurry. The only others with quarterback hurries are Lamb with 2, Foskey with 2, Brown with 1, Cross the third with 1. And everyone else with a tackle for a loss was Foskey with 1, Wallace with 1, Well, it cuts off his name. 1 sec. Ahrensberger had 1, and Tagovailoa, it cuts off the last part. I know he's out, and I just said his name earlier, but I don't remember the second part of his name. Had 1, and Lacey had half of 1. In terms of sacks, Flasky and Ahrensberger both brought in the only 2 sacks of the game. And the only others with 3 total tackles are Lamb, Wallace, Bertrand, Bauer, and Foskey. Oh no, Foskey had 2. There were no picks on either side. Notre Dame had Chris Tyree return 1 kick that wasn't a touchback for 14 yards. I wanted to see a little bit more, or what he could do more on kicks again, but it is what it is. Punt returns, it was a different, well, it wasn't a different story. Ekwonu, Salerno, and Bottinello all had 1 return. Ekwonu had 54 yards, Salerno had 7, and Bottinello had 1, but Bottinello also had a touchdown. I don't know why it only registers as 2. Kicking, Dewar was 1 for 2 on field goals, 50%. He had a long of 22. That is 1 make was 22. And he had 6 extra points attempted and made, accounting for 9 points. And then Gopprich was brought in for 1 extra point, which he accounts for 1 yard. So the kicking team accounted for 10 of Notre Dame's 52-0 win. To put them up 2-0, and they're 2-0 at home. Yeah, they were 2-0. First home game of the season. And then Bramblett had 2 punts for 74 yards. And his longest 40, so he had 40 and then 34. Good game. Not a great game. But, I mean, the team did good. And hopefully they can go into the next game against No, it's not USF. Why am I trying to say USF? Another Florida team in Another Florida team in Florida State. There. I finally thought of it. It took me a minute. But yeah, sorry this is late. But I'm pushing this one out quick, and then my FSU Notre Dame prediction, well, pregame look should be out soon after this, before the game, hopefully. So, yeah, I will see you in the next one.